How did everybody come through Wednesday night?
Recording in progress.
Despite the finish of the game, they all came through okay, yeah. So everybody's fit for selection.
Even if they said Suleiman was tight and Edan was kind of cramping up, they both.
Yeah, Edan cramped at half time. Suleiman was towards the end of the game as well, but they're both fine. We came back and done some work at the training centre at 3:30 in the morning. And got rest yesterday, and we'll be training this morning.
Looking back at Wednesday after kind of the film study, do you see a common thread with the 2 goals you conceded late?
Well, they were common thread in terms of the type of goal. It was one straight ball over the top of us, and we didn't deal with it. For both the goals, we never got pressure on the ball. And if you don't get pressure, then you can't come up. We started coming up and made big mistakes. It should be 2 headed clearances, pretty simple headed clearances, and because we get it wrong, it allows them the opportunity to score. But also I've seen it back. The first goal is offside as well, but there's nothing we can do now.
How do you characterize the mentality of the group? I know Westy said it was pretty spirited in the locker room afterwards.
Yeah, and I would expect it to be because, we had a first half where we were in complete control. We've made one mistake where I think Eric got robbed on the ball and they hit the post. Other than that, it was pretty much one-way traffic. I thought we controlled the game, controlled the ball. Second half, I thought it was more of an even game. They came into it. I thought it got a little bit too stretched, but on every transition we ended up having big chances, and if you create them kinds of big chances, you don't normally get that many chances in 3 games, let alone just 1 game, and we failed to finish the game off, which we should have done.
I know you're not an artificial motivation guy, but you said that they kind of lost their way in that second half against Chicago when you guys played them at home. Is there a sense of maybe a desire to write something out of that with this match tomorrow?
No, I mean it's just the next game for us. We've got to get onto a winning run. I looked at it. We looked at the fixtures before when they first come out, and we knew from May it was going to be a tough period in terms of 9, 10 MLS games. 8 of them are on the road. Unheard of pretty much, but you have to deal with it, and we haven't dealt with it as well as we should results wise. And I've been looking back at them games over the last 24 hours and analysing each one, and we definitely should have better points return than we have, and if that happens, then we're probably looking a little bit happier, but it's a results industry, and unfortunately we haven't got the results.
You just said that you watched a few games back. I'm kind of curious which ones in particular.
No, pretty much all of them. Just when I looked at the stats of most of the games from the start of May, because that's been the period where, I think before that we were sitting top of the league, and then we've played 9 games, 7 of them away, we've won 2 and lost 7. And that trend can't continue, but we know it won't because we've got a load of home games coming up, and we know how strong we are there. But our mentality needs to be that we need to be getting results and away from home.
The biggest difference, for you, what was the biggest difference in terms of the first half and the second half? Was it an individual that maybe came on? Was it
I think, listen, it was a hot day, so it was always going to affect some players. We were probably forced into changes that we probably didn't want to make at the time. Naturally, they came into the game a little bit, but we've had 2 big chances. Leal's gone one-on-one with the goalkeeper. If he scores, it's 2-0, it's game over. And even then, they've had some chances where we've made some uncharacteristic mistakes. I think there was one where Jaquil's tried to run it out of play and then tried to chip it, inside our penalty box to Addy's planted a foot where the lad's gone round him on the touch line. But on top of that, we've had 5 massive chances. Kerwin's come on, he's won the ball really well from, it wasn't even a chance, he's just gone and won the ball, but then he's got to play Leal for a simple tap-in. And then, between him and Pep, they've got to hit the target.
I know you had said before this game, someone had asked you about Toklamati, and you had said like hoping he could play more than just like 45 or 60. Was that because of like the injury he's kind of rehabbing, or is it more from like a fitness standpoint? Like, what do you mean by that?
I think that's more the fitness or the match fitness. You know, he's been out for a month. I think he got injured against Orlando away, so he's been out a month. You know, and he's come back. He played 80 minutes against Philly. You know, that game wasn't as hot as it was in Kansas. We know there's been a bit of a mini heat wave across the country, and I think he got probably affected by that more.
Your decision to start Williamson over Veronica, was that more of like what you saw from Sporting, or is it maybe something Williamson's done of late?
A bit of both. I looked at Sporting and I felt that we'd been turning the ball over a little bit more. Wanted a little bit more quality on the ball in terms of switching play, which I know that Eric can do well. You know, and as I say, I thought first 45 minutes we looked really good as a team. Controlled the midfield, controlled the ball. Edan's missed a really good chance on the 46th minute, I think it was, to go 2-0 up, put it over the bar. You know, so yeah, that was the decision, knowing that, you know, would have the legs of BB to bring on when we needed him.
I know like those opportunities, like, I mean, addressing them in certain ways, like they just have to finish them, right? But like, I think the one in particular that was really stark to me was the one where Vargas took the shot instead of Abada, who was wide open, literally on the 18. Was that something you addressed individually? Like, what? I'm curious, like that decision to shoot it over.
No, I mean, what I'll do is address it this morning in the review of the game, speak to the players and ask them what they're thinking at that moment, because, you know, I need to know what they're thinking before I can coach them. So, you know, it's our decision making has to be better in them moments. There was a number of moments watching the game back where we've had 4v3s and you know, there was one where Peps broke 3 and we never ended up finishing with a shot. There was one where Wolves broke 3 and we never ended up finishing with a shot. And them are the moments that, you know, at the top level, they always end up with a shot and more often than not a goal, and that's where we've got to get to.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Next we'll go to Mike.
Morning, Dean. How are you, sir?
I'm good, thank you, Mike. Yourself?
I'm hanging in there at this hour. It's a little bit early, but
A little bit early. It looks like you're teeing off with your golf cap on.
well, I did that just for you. the From the coaching aspect of it, I know you were asked about the mentality of the team, but what's the challenge for you guys as a coach, or for you and your staff as coaches, to try to get guys going again? I know we talked about superstitions and things of that nature in the past, but I mean, how do you talk these guys out of what's been a kind of a swoon over the last couple of months?
I mean, listen, like if I look back at the last 5 games, our performances have been okay. You know, so the last 5 games we've won two of them, and unfortunately lost 3. But you know, I look back at the Red Bull game. We gave Callis give a goal away for the first goal, and we give 2 penalties away. You know, one of them really, really debatable, and one that we probably could have got the other end as well. And then then we go to Toronto, control the game against Toronto, win comfortably. Before that, played really, really well against Columbus at home, won that game. And then we go to Philly, very even game, and it should have ended up with a point. And then you go to Kansas, played really well first half, had massive chances away from home, should have won the game comfortably. So performance-wise, what my job is to make sure that the players understand that doing what doing the right things looks like, feels like, sounds like. Because if they're doing that in the game, then more often than not they'll go and win the game. So that's the mentality that, you know, I'll be instilling into the players.
And there's another road test, obviously, with Chicago this weekend, or tomorrow, this weekend. Is this team? Are you noticing that guys are trying to find that bunker mentality and that us against the world? I know the results haven't been great in the last 10 or so, but still, you've had so many opportunities on the road. Are you noticing anything different with the guys as they're playing in these different environments?
No, I mean, listen, it's been a slog as we know for, you know, being on the road for so long. But yeah, I mean, the way that we got beat on Wednesday night hurt, because it was a game that we should have been miles ahead in. You know, and that probably, I'm hoping that shocked the players into give them a reset, knowing what we did to get into that position to go and win the game is what we've got to do regular. But you can't defend their 2 goals like we defended in the end.
My last one, I don't know if you addressed it or not, but Patrick being named to the MLS All-Star Game. I know you're not a big fan of All-Star Games, but it's still...
I know it's not that I'm not a big fan. I just don't know an awful lot about it. They don't do it in the UK, and you know that's where I'm from. So you know, as I said, I when I came here, I would try and embrace the culture. You know, some things aren't for me, and you know that's not for me.
But on the flip side of that...
On the flip side of it, well done, Patrick.
Thank you.
Cheers, Mike.
We'll go to Steve.
Good morning, Dean.
Morning, Steve.
In your past experience, and following up on what Mike was saying, asking about the mentality of the professional athlete, in previous experiences, like maybe specifically to Leicester, where you came in trying to change things at the last minute and keep them up in the Premier League, has there ever been an instance with professional athletes where they've just kind of gone through the motion, they kind of quit on the game, but they still go through the motions, or is it like, or are they always competitive? Are they always trying to?
No, professionals are competitive. Professionals are competitive. I've not seen players throw the towel in. You know, not under my watch. That's for sure. Players care. You know, and it's really funny how people can sometimes get a perception of a player without ever knowing them or meeting them. You know, we had a meeting with the PRO and they had a perception of what Wilf was, and they don't know Wilf. And I said that's unfair, you know, having a perception of somebody when you don't know the person. You have to treat them with who they are and what you see at that time. So, you know, one thing I keep saying to players, I'm yet to see a professional footballer carried off the pitch with exhaustion. So, you know, I get, you know, really frustrated when I see players, you know, giving the hands, I need to come off. We'll decide if you're tired and we'll bring you off. You know, but professionally, players care. This group of players care. There's not one in that dressing room that's not hurting at the moment with the run of results that they've had. So, you know, I know they care, but my job is making sure they don't get too emotional over the results and do the right things.
And well, even emotional again, because it looked like you took Zaha off to prevent a second yellow.
No, I did, definitely. Listen, they were trying to roll him up. He was already on a yellow card. You know, so the next one, I felt that he could have got a yellow card. He's, you know, I think that a player had just got a yellow card for a similar foul, and then the referee blows another foul against Wilf for the tackle from behind, and Wilf was frustrated that it didn't warrant the same sanction from the official, and he told him that. But I just felt that wasn't the time for him to get involved with the official.
Yeah, and I mean, different officials react differently to, let's say, in-game critique from players and such like that. But Wilf has been in much more intense situations throughout his career and things like that, and frustration. So hasn't that, you know, combined knowledge, you know, given him a little more, you know, balance, like to knowing what the boundary lines are?
Yeah, definitely. And I think he understands what the boundary lines are. But it's like, you know, we don't know what somebody's going to do if somebody comes and punches you on the nose one day. You know, sometimes we're all different how we deal with things, and if the red mist comes down, it comes down. You know, we have to have good control but we're talking about human beings here. You know, but he's probably the most foul player in the league this season. So I would actually suggest that his emotional control has been really good. But at that moment, it wasn't, for whatever reason.
There's no probably about it. He is.
Sorry?
There's no probably about it. He is the most foul player in the league.
Yeah, he's the most foul player in the league.
He's very popular. Thanks, Dean.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
Okay.
We'll wrap up with Sam. Good morning, Coach. Have you found a good cuppa in the States yet?
A good cup of tea?
Yeah.
Yeah, we got PG Tips and we've got Yorkshire tea in our canteen, so we're doing all right.
Good. Well, so I wanted to start. You'd said, again, the team had made a lot of uncharacteristic mistakes. At what point do uncharacteristic mistakes become characteristic mistakes?
When they constantly keep making them. Callie made 4 mistakes, I think, for 4 first goals, and it was time to give him a breather. And he came out, and I thought he went in the other day and didn't have loads to do, to be honest. I think they had a lot of shots, but a lot of them were from outside the penalty box and missed the target. So he wasn't fully stretched for the chances against him, to be honest. But so uncharacteristic mistakes, when they come characteristic, then I'll give them a rest.
And speaking of which, my next question, you brought Callie back. Can you tell us about that decision?
Yeah, I thought, I was pretty clear right from the start that I felt he needed a breather. I think he's merited certainly a lot of trust from myself for what he's done, and our supporters and our squad for what he did last season as well, and the start of this season. So, as I said before, it was uncharacteristic, a couple of the mistakes he made, but the longer they went on, that's when I felt that we had to make a change. But I knew it wouldn't be long, and watched him on the training ground, he was ready to go again.
Yesterday, or 2 days ago, the Players Association did one of their biannual salary lists. Does it cause any consternation in the locker room when players find out each other's salaries?
No idea. I've never been in a dressing room where everybody knows what everybody else is earning, if I'm honest, as a player or a coach before, until I came over here. But there's a salary cap for a reason, so they disclose it. I'm sure they discuss it, but again, their locker room is there. That's their room. That's not mine. So I don't bother going in there.
And the next time Brandt plays a full 90, he's going to be the first outfield player for the club to reach 10,000 minutes. There's still a lot of, as a young club, there's still a lot of milestones and a lot of firsts that are going to happen for the club. But wanted to know what you could tell us about Brandt, since he's about to be the first player to reach that big milestone.
Well, we should be seeing a better Brandt Bronico then, shouldn't we? Because they do say that 10,000 minutes is, your peak learning. So we should start seeing a better Brandt from now. But no, listen, Brandt's been excellent since I've been here. His running stats are outstanding. I think because of his running stats, I think technically he gets overlooked as well, because he is very good technically. He understands the game, and we're happy to have him here, and he shows how much this club means to him as well.
Cheers, best of luck in Chicago.
Cheers, thanks, Sam.
Thanks, team.
Thank you very much.